you're good to go.
First and foremost, we'd like to say, all praises to Yahweh, B'Shem HaMashiach Yahushai. Who are we? We are Bani Israel. We are the children of Israel that the Bible speaks of. And we're out here to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
God.
When who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ came to earth, that's who he came to. He didn't come to everybody, like Christianity says. Right? He didn't come as a prophet for Muslims. That's not what the scriptures say. Right? Let's get Matthew chapter 15 and verse 24. Matthew chapter 15 and verse 24.
The book of Matthew, chapter 15, and reading from verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
So he wasn't sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's who he was sent to. That's who he was sent to. He wasn't sent to anybody else. Let's find out where he sent his apostles to. Right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 10 and verse 5. Let's find out who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ sent his apostles to. Did he send them to everybody? Let's find out. Read.
The book of Matthew, chapter 10, and reading from verse 5. These 12 Jesus sent forth, and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
No. Go to the Christians.
But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
No. Go to Muslims.
But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
No. I'm sure it's for everybody. Read.
But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
The lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? And our people don't understand or have a misunderstanding, right, that their enemies are their friends.
Right.
They have the misunderstanding that their enemies are their friends. And their enemies are standing on a pulpit telling them falsehoods and lies, telling them that they're Gentiles when they're not. They are Israelites.
Right.
Namely, who they call so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American. They are the Israelites that have been scattered across the four corners of the earth. You'll find them at the bottom of every society. Right? And we're out here to tell our people to come out from amongst these nations, right, that have lived off the backs of our ancestors.
Right.
Right? Let's go to Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4. Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4. Read.
The book of Revelation, chapter 18, and reading from verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues.
Right? So the Most High is saying to his people, come out of her, come out of Babylon, right? Come out of the spiritual Babylon, because all of these kingdoms that are ruled on the earth today take from Babylon. That's why you've got them keeping Easter, Christmas, right? Halloween, any kind of pagan holiday you can think of, anything you can think of, right? Everything but the days of the Most High, everything but the feast of the Most High. Everybody wants to keep everything but the days the Most High has set up. And the thing is that our people need to understand, like it says in the scripture just then, it says that you don't partake in their sins. Because if you partake in their sins, you're going to receive of the same plagues the nations are going to receive.
That's right.
And we already went through that. We already went through it. We don't need to go through that again. Right? Because the Most High is trying to redeem his people. And he's only going to redeem those that actually return to him.
Come on.
That actually return to him. Right? Let's find out if Israel is done away with. Right? Let's find out if what the Christian church says is true. Let's see if what Islam says is true. Right? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 31. Because everybody says they believe in the prophets of old. Everybody says they believe in the prophets of old until they say something they don't like.
Right.
Namely, that the children of Israel are going to be redeemed. Because people don't want to hear that part. People don't want to hear that part. Not only that, they just don't want to believe that the people that they've set so low, or the Most High has allowed to set so low, are the true people of God, are the children of God, right? So let's read this, Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 31. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 31, and reading from verse 31. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah.
So the scripture says he's going to make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Now, Christianity loves to say we're in a new covenant, but the new covenant is with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Because, you know what, I hear a lot of people talk about spiritual Israel, but where's the spiritual house of Judah as well? Because you're missing that part. Because why is it making a distinction? Why is it making a distinction? Because if you knew history, you would know that Israel was split into two. Right? The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And that's what he's talking about. You're not talking about no spiritual Israel. Show me spiritual Israel in the scriptures. If anybody can do that, I'll throw some money your way. And I know you can't. That's how I know you can't. I know you can't. Right? Read on.
Behold, the days cometh, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break.
Right, so not the same covenant that we were given when we came out of Egypt. Because, yeah, we broke that covenant. Because, and that's how you know he's talking about the children of Israel. He's not talking about all the nations. Because all the other nations didn't break the covenant for him to give them a new covenant.
Right.
That don't make no sense. So people trying to intercalate or put themselves into the scriptures have no understanding. And it wasn't given to them in the first place. Right? Read on.
Which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord.
Right, so he's going to make this covenant with us after those days, after the days of that covenant. Right, and we haven't come to that point yet, and we know that because because people don't even know who the house of Israel is. People don't even know who the house of Judah is. People don't know any of that. The Israelites do. The Israelites are starting to wake up and starting to understand who they are and starting to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Creator. They're starting to get it. They're starting to understand. But people don't know that. So when they're looking at prophecy, they're looking at it all wrong. They're looking at it all wrong because people love to talk about the fact that they're spiritual, right? They're spiritual. But then they want to tell you that you don't have to keep the law. But that goes against scripture because the scripture says the law is spiritual. So if you're not keeping the law, or if you're not trying to keep the law, then you're not spiritual. Nowhere are you spiritual. Because the law is spiritual.
That's right.
Right? Read on.
But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord.
Right? So he's going to put his law in our inward parts, right? And write it in our hearts. Meaning, it's going to become second nature to us. We're not going to have to teach each other anymore. And that's how you know this prophecy hasn't been fulfilled. That's how you know this prophecy hasn't been fulfilled, because we're still teaching each other. Because if it was a case and the new covenant was in, we'd have no need to teach each other.
Right.
It don't make any sense.
Right.
So anybody telling you that we're in the new covenant is a liar and doesn't understand scripture. They don't understand it. They don't understand the narrative. They don't understand the timeline. And a lot of the reason is because people that are disseminating it or people that are trying to bring it out, right, aren't Israelites. They don't have understanding. And some people just don't have reading comprehension.
Right.
Standard reading comprehension. Right? So let's continue.
From the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord, for I will forgive their iniquity and will remember their sin no more.
So he says he's going to forgive their iniquity and remember our sin no more. He's not going to remember it anymore. Right? So anybody telling you that the Israelites are done away with because they broke the covenant is a liars. It's a lie. It's a lie because the Most High said he's going to forgive the iniquity
That's
of
right.
our forefathers. He said he's going to forgive our iniquities because he's going to overlook them. He's going to overlook them for the people that turn back to him. That's who he's going to overlook it for. Not for the people that just want to do what they want to do. Right? Let's continue in this scripture because these scriptures are overlooked. Heaven, not overlooked actually. They avoid them. They avoid them tactically because they don't want these verses coming out. Right? Read on.
Verse 35, thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
So that's the Most High. That's the Most High talking. It says, thus saith the Lord, which God giveth the sun for a light by day, and the moon for a light by night. Right? And that made the stars. And he says, if those ordinances depart from before me, meaning if they stop doing what they're meant to do, meaning if you don't see the sun anymore, you don't see the moon anymore, you don't see the stars anymore, right? They stop going in their order, then the children of Israel will stop being a nation before him.
God.
But those things haven't happened. I can still see the sun, I can still see the moon, and I can still see the stars.
Bring it out.
So somebody's lying. And either it's the Most High or it's man. But I know what the scripture says. It says, let God be true and every man a liar. So whoever the person I'm going to believe, or the being I'm going to believe, is the Most High.
That's right.
Right? Let's finish this out. Read on.
If these ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that a city shall be built to the Lord, from the great tower of Hananel unto the gate of the corner.
Right? So the scripture says there, if the heavens can be searched out, now going based off what scientists say, right? Space is infinite, going by their own ideologies, right? And then again, you can't really trust them because a lot of the stuff is theories, because they don't really understand how the Most High created the heavens. So they're looking at it, says if it can be searched out. Now, according to their own understanding, if space is infinite, how are you going to search out space? How is it possible? Meaning that the Most High has allowed them to get an understanding, that understanding, right? Meaning to say, you're never going to be able to search it out. You're never going to be able to search it out. Then also, he says, if the depths of the earth can be searched out beneath. Now, they've only searched under 5% of the ocean. Under 5%. And we know there's certain parts of the sea you can't even go to because of the air pressure, because of the pressure down there, because it will just crush you. Same way when that submarine went down to go to Titanic and imploded. Right? So they're not going to search it out. So he's telling you that Israel is not done away with.
That's right.
Israel is not done away with. Right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. Because this is the good news for the children of Israel. It's the good news for us. The gospel is for the children of Israel. That's who the gospel is for. The gospel is for the children of Israel. Once the children of Israel are redeemed, then the world will know peace. Until then, there's gonna be war, famine, bloodshed, or any kind of thing, any kind of evil thing you can think of, until the children of Israel are back in their rightful position. Right? So read the scripture.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 14, and reading from verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Right? So the Most High is going to choose Israel again. Right? He's going to redeem them. And when we're redeemed, the nations are going to see that, and they're going to cleave to the house of Israel. Because in that time, they're going to understand that the children of Israel are the people of God, and they're going to realize who the people of God are. Right? And a lot of people don't want to believe it, but just because you don't believe it doesn't make it true. Right? Doesn't make what you believe true. Or just because you don't believe something doesn't make it not true. I should say. Right? So he's going to yet choose Israel, right? Read on.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
Right? So we're going to take them captives, whose captives we were. So those people that had us in captivity are going into captivity. They that killed us with the sword are going to be killed with the sword. Right? Because that's the tide turning. And that's the way things have to go. Because things have to be put into place. And debts have to be paid. Debts have to be paid, man. Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30. Right? Deuteronomy chapter 30. Because we're going to read what the Most High says about the children of Israel, or what he says to the children of Israel. Because people misunderstand the narrative of the scriptures. They misunderstand them. They don't have understanding, and they're taking misunderstanding from people that don't know anything, that are standing there and giving you a false narrative. Giving you a false narrative, man. Right? So read the scripture.
Deuteronomy chapter 30, and reading from verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee.
Right? So when you remember the blessing and the curses that came upon you, so he's talking to the children of Israel. Once you wake up, you start to look at what happened to us. You start to realize when we kept the commandments of the Creator, blessings came upon us. Right? When we didn't keep the commandments of the Creator, curses came upon us. Right? And he says, when those things have come on us, right? Because all the way up until King David, right? We were blessed, right? And that was the pinnacle, King David. Then after that, right, when Solomon sinned, then the kingdom was split, and that's when we started to go into captivity after captivity after captivity, right? And that coincides with the curses. Now, when we remember those things, right, in the places where the Most High has driven us, even to the furthest ends of the earth, and do what?
Whether the Lord thy God have driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart, and with all thy soul.
And shall return to the Most High, right, with our children, with all our heart and with all our soul, then what?
That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God have scattered thee.
That then he will turn our captivity. So you have to turn back to the Creator for him to turn our captivity, for him to turn you out of the captivity. Right? For him to have mercy on you, for him to have compassion on you. Right? You have to turn back. You have to remember all the things that happened to us. And then you have to turn back to him. Right? Because the Most High always has stipulations, man. He says, if you do, he said, I will do that. And that's the way he set it up. Right? Because he'll always keep his end of the bargain, and he always has. Right? It's just us that never keep our end. Right? It's just us that never keeps our end. Right? So so if we turn back to him, then he'll turn our captivity. Right? Read on.
That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into a land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live.
Right, and that's talking about the new covenant. It's talking about putting the words of the Father in their hearts, putting the law in their inward parts, right? The circumcision of the heart, right? That's what he's talking about. He's talking about the same thing. It's talking about the same thing now. That hasn't happened, meaning that this is still prophetical. This is still prophecy, or prophecy that has not yet been fulfilled, right? Read on.
And the Lord thy God, that thou mayest live, and the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord, and do all his commandments which I command thee this day. And the Lord thy God will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. For the Lord will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers.
Right? So he says that he's going to put all these curses on our enemies. Right? He's going to put all the curses that was on us, on our enemies, meaning things are going to be flipped on their head. Right? Or it's going to be put in its right position. Because right now the earth flipped on its head because it's not in the right way. Right? Let's go to Revelation chapter 13 and verse 10, and let's precept that. Let's precept it.
Revelation chapter 13, and reading from verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Right? So he that leadeth into captivity, he that took people into captivity, is going to go into captivity. Right? He that killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. Right? And people really think that because they wasn't there, right, that they don't have a debt to pay. But you do, because you've been benefiting off of what your ancestors did. Right? You've been benefiting off that. Right? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 21. Right? Because a debt needs to be paid. Right? A debt needs to be paid. And we pay the debt of our ancestors because we went through the captivities. Right? And we find ourselves at the bottom of every nation.
Right.
That's where we find ourselves. So we paid the debt of our ancestors. We weren't there when they sinned.
Right. They ran out on their tab. They ran out on their tab.
Yeah, they ran out on their tab and left us sitting at the table.
Right.
When we had to pay. So the same way we had to pay is the same way the nations are going to have to pay for what their ancestors did. People really think that that's not coming. And it is. And the same Bible you read,
All right,
the
brother.
same Bible you read corroborates
God.
that.
You believe in God? Come talk to us for 2 minutes, man.
Right, so let's read the scripture.
Isaiah chapter 14 and reading from verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on 21. Salakia, verse 21. Isaiah chapter 14 and reading from verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
Right? So don't be disillusioned because the nations are going to pay for what they did.
Right.
And that payment has already begun, if you don't know. The payment's already started.
Yes.
Because there's war going on everywhere. War going on everywhere.
Yeah.
War between Gaza,
Yeah, right.
Israel,
Right.
and Palestinians.
Right, and they're crying over it. And they're crying over it. They're crying over it, saying how women and children are being killed. Women and children are being killed, which is true. Women and children are being killed. But when our women and children were being killed, nobody was crying about it then. When they were taking our children, right, and tying rope around them and throwing them in the rivers for alligators so that they could catch alligators, nobody was complaining about that. But now all of a sudden, the Israelis are down there in a land which is not theirs, bombing innocent people. Now the whole world is in an uproar. The whole world wasn't in an uproar when the children of Israel was being raped, robbed, and murdered. No nation came to the aid of the house of Israel. But now they want us to have some form of sympathy because the Israelis are bombing the hell out of the Palestinians. We don't care. We don't care about that. We only care about the salvation of the house of Israel, because we are the children of the living God. There is no other God apart from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he's only ever chose one people. And he only ever loved one people. And just because we fell away, just because we sinned and we got punished, the world believes that the Israelites are done away with, and they're not. The nations are going to be punished for what they did to the children of Israel. The nations are going to be punished. And you better pray that you're of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because if you're not, they saw judgments coming for every nation on this earth. Don't think that the children of Israel alone is going to be punished. The children of Israel weren't supposed to be punished because we are the apple of God's eye. We are his people. We are his inheritance. He made all the nations, and out of all the nations, he chose one people. Out of all the seed of Adam, he chose one people, one nation. And that is Bani Israel, the sons of Israel, the Israelites. Not those bastards in the land. They're bastards that are in the land. God is not their father. Yahweh is not their father. Never was, never will be. He is their God. He is their power, so they have to do what they're told. But as for being a child, as for being sons, no other nation is his son apart from the house of Israel. Right? Apart from the children of Israel.
This is Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 6.
Read.
And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod.
And what?
And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod.
No, a person I love.
And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod.
And a who?
And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod.
And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. Those people in the land of Israel, they are not Israelites. They are not Israelites. They are Edomites. They are Edomites who come from Europe. That's who they are. They are liars. They are liars. Liars. Every single last one of them. And they've gone to the land they know doesn't belong to them. They've gone to a land and they've persecuted people who were living there hundreds of years, even though them people ain't supposed to be there. They ain't supposed to be there. And this is prophesied in the scriptures, that they would go to the land and they would divide the land. Get me that precept. And they parted my land, right? They would go to the land and depart and part the land. And the Palestinians saying, "Oh, it's my land," and the fake frauds are saying it's their land, and it's neither of their land because it wasn't allotted to them. Right? Read the scripture.
Joel chapter 3 and verse 2.
Read.
I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Let's read up to find out why he's going to do that.
Joel chapter 3 and verse 1.
Read.
For behold, in those days and in that time,
Right.
when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah
When
and Jerusalem.
when I will return the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, which is Judah and Israel, right, after they've been through their punishment, right, which is coming up shortly, that's on the horizon. That's on the future horizon. This prophecy has not come to pass yet, right? But certain things in the prophecy have come to pass, right? Read on.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
And he's going to bring the nations down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? If you don't know where that is, that's in what the area they call the Middle East. That's where World War III is going to finally kick off, right? And the scripture says that he's going to dry up the river Euphrates, so that they've got access to that area. They can freely come over into that area because he wants them there to judge the nations for what they have done. Read on.
I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat,
Yeah.
and will plead with them there
And
for
what?
my people,
And will do
will
what?
plead with them there for my people.
When he says plead, he's not saying, "Oh, please and thank you." That word plead means destruction. He says he's going to bring the nations down into that area of the world and he's going to destroy them because of what they did to his people. Read on.
I will plead with them there for my people,
Read.
and for my heritage Israel,
For what?
and for my people, and for my heritage Israel,
And for his heritage, who?
Israel,
Who?
Israel,
Who's God's heritage?
and for my heritage Israel.
The Israelites are God's heritage. Christianity is not God's heritage. Islam is not God's heritage. Buddhism is not God's heritage. Any form of man-made religion is not God's heritage. His heritage is the children of Israel, the Israelites. Read it again.
And will plead with them there for my people,
And we'll do what?
and will plead with them there for my people,
Plead with them there for his people. Read.
and for my heritage Israel.
And for his heritage, Israel, the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel, not Christianity, not Christianity. Read on.
Whom they have scattered among the nations,
Who they done what?
whom they have scattered amongst the
The
nations.
Israelites are scattered all over the world, among all the nations. And those bastards in the land, right? They're not Israelites. They never have been and never will be. Never have been, never will be. The scriptures tell us Israelites would be scattered among all the nations, which has taken place. Right? Read it again.
And will plead with them there for my people.
Who what?
And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered amongst the
Who
nations.
they scattered amongst the nations. And when Messiah comes back, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, he ain't coming back to come and hug the nations. That's not what's happening. That's not happening. He's not coming back with hugs and kisses. He's not coming back with hugs and kisses. He's coming to wage war. He's coming to take names and kick ass. That's what he's coming to do.